What's going on, guys? Yeah, let's get it tonight, as Jolly says. Welcome to first NBA show. We got Sheets popping in right now, which is great. Sheets, how you doing, man?
Doing well, ready for action. Just
Yeah.
did the NHL stuff for those of you who were present for that, and it's a really big slate, by the way. But really psyched to get the NBA season going. I am going to be running baseball showdown lineup too.
Nice.
I'm going to run those later, but I'm not going to go live for any of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm ready to get into today. I'm looking at some of the ownerships here. I mean, obviously a 2-game slate, everybody's going to be owned. But LeBron's pretty unowned.
Yeah, LeBron is not. I mean, it's just a price thing. It's like if you play him, you should probably play him with Jokic, and that means you're foregoing the better plays on Phoenix.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's true.
So that's and the same thing with Anthony Davis. Like, it is really hard to logically explain those guys as being better plays than the Phoenix guys, assuming that Beal doesn't play. But at the same time, that's what everyone's going to do, and that's your chance to get a little different.
Yeah.
So I like that. Yeah. So go ahead.
No, I was going to say. So just so everybody knows, I'm playing. I did up, and I am going to play 60 of the DraftKings one.
Nice.
I'm playing 60, and I'm going to play the 150 of the FanDuel, and I'm going to play one big buy-in in the 300 on DraftKings. I haven't quite figured out what that's going to be yet, but and I'm also going to be like testing out the new SaberSim stuff, which apparently it's going to be updating the ownerships like all night long and how your contests are doing stuff. I mean, like I got to see how that works, but I'll probably be able to explain it to everybody in about a week. You'll manage expectations. You know what I mean? Because I struggle actually when it's something I didn't create. You know what I mean? Trying to figure out how things work a little bit. So I'll probably be well versed enough in it to tutor you guys in it probably a week or so. SaberSim itself has a lot of videos if you guys can be into that. But let's talk about the games, man. I mean, for those of you who weren't here earlier, you have 2 pretty good basketball games. Lakers, Nuggets. Do you have any opinions on the games, first of all?
Yeah, I do. I like the under in both games. Like I said, the Lakers Denver total, they played the playoff series. They didn't have any game reach this total. And I know playoff basketball is a little bit different, but first games of the season are very different also. So I'm not going to just go out here and assume that it's going to be, 120 to 115 or something like that. I like the under in the Warriors and Suns. And as I mentioned, I'm almost 70% in about, I think I bet about like somewhere around 95. I'll be at 100 soon. I know that 100 career bets of the unders. So when I bet the under, usually it ends up doing pretty well. I like Denver on ring ceremony night. I do think you could make that's sort of a good case for LeBron and AD. LeBron, it's not really a lot of fun, and he's been a part of it a number of times where you have to go play opening day games, and the other guys are getting the rings. So we'll see how that plays out. But I do think that might be a reason to take a shot with LeBron. I do think Davis is straight up probably a better play, but I did force in some LeBron narrative type of plays, and I have some. I was able to do some dumpster diving and get a couple LeBron, AD, and Jokic lineups in there together. But my dumpster divings don't feel awesome, I have to say. I also like one of the other game. My natural thought is just generally a good idea to bet on the Warriors. I like the under in that one as well. And I think you're going to see really concentrated usage with Booker and Durant. So I think the core guys for me tonight are Kuminga is the cheap one that makes sense. But if you're not going to play Kuminga, I think you should be playing Looney or Saric, in my opinion. And I think you could play Kuminga with either Looney or Saric. I don't think you should be playing Looney and Saric together. But one of those guys immediately goes in, and Kuminga being the obvious one as a priority. The other one, Jokic. The other one, Chris Paul. These are just core guys. And the other one, Wiggins, is just standing out from the pricing, everything else considered. Those guys make a ton of sense. So the question is, where do you get different beyond that? Because you want to try to play, Jokic, as I mentioned, but I'm putting the combinations of those guys in with like Booker or Durant, with those sort of 5 guys I talked about, and then using some other pieces to fill in elsewhere. I don't think Bradley Beal is going to play tonight. It is worth noting that of anybody who I've ever seen say that they've been unlikely to play, he probably plays the most of any of those guys. So in the lottery, I'm leaving 25% of my lineups with Bradley Beal in them, and I'll just shift to Klay Thompson or some form of 2v2 pivots if he officially gets announced out, just because it's very hard to get different on these two gamers. And if you end up with him in, now while other people are trying to fight to get him in, you already have the place reserved and your lineup looks the way you want it. I just think it's kind of an interesting angle to take, even though I would say probably 90% that he's not going to play. That 10% is worth taking a shot, though. So those are sort of my core guys. How about what are you finding?
Now you're playing the 150, right? What percent of your lineups have Paul and Jokic?
So let me get my exposures right now. So, like for example, Chris Paul, I have 82%, and it's literally because I just made some different plays to try to get him out because he was showing up for like basically everything. I've got Jokic. I got him down to 70% now. It's a little lower than I thought I was going to be on him, but they're just like, as I mentioned, I just think you got to kind of play more of these Phoenix guys. And what's interesting is not necessarily the ownership, because if I look by my entry fees, Kuminga is my third highest owned player, but I'm only playing him 30% and playing more Looney and Saric in the lottery just because of the ownership. So Kuminga is my third highest owned player, but in terms of buy-ins, but just when it comes to everything, he's a little further back. Devin Booker is in half my lineups, but again, he's in like 75% of my buy-ins. Andrew Wiggins, similar. One guy who kept popping for me, and I couldn't seem to get him out as much. Well, two guys, Gordon and the Michael Porter Jr. I would say if you're playing Jokic, I would prefer to play Gordon. But if you're not playing in the non-Jokic lineups, I think you prefer Michael Porter Jr. That's the way I would go. So those are sort of the main ones I'm looking at.
Yeah, so I have 80% Jokic, and then I'm kind of under on Paul. I only have 67% Paul. He's going to be 80% owned, right? I mean, probably. So I have like 67% of him, and then and this is current. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to be doing with it in a second. And then I am playing that a bunch of the Terrain Prince, and a Kogi. It doesn't feel right, but on a 2-game slate, I mean, you don't need that much. Well, let me just up because this is the way I play. This is the way I play NBA. Everybody, okay, everyone wants my process of the NBA. So the NBA, I start with the projections, and then I run builds, and then I run the sims or whatever it is, and then the most important thing is that then I come to these live things and talk to Bobby and get takes and then figure out exactly how I'm going to tweak and get different from all of my builds. So it's never going to be the same when I come on the show as when I leave. So like if something that really is, because listen, call Bobby what he is, whatever it is. Bobby is like probably has the best instincts for like pure basketball of people I know that play DFS. So if there's like some play that just doesn't seem right projection wise, but he really likes it a lot, I'll just blindly ignore the projections and bump it to 20%. And that to me is a good way to combine, combine the different tools and intellect you have access to.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I think that makes a lot of sense. And I wish that it's always hard on the night one to try and have the really strong take of how you win a GPP. You know what I mean? I think it has more to do with lineup construction in the higher buy-in stuff. At least for me, like I have a lineup with all the second game, but my only player from the first game is Christian Braun. You sort of hope that somehow the blowout happens and it spreads amongst the studs, and Christian Braun takes it away up with the bench crew. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's sort of the angle that I'm looking at for my stuff today. And then if I'm playing the Lakers, I don't mind playing LeBron, AD, and Jokic, and you have to really dumpster dive if you do that. But I like the idea of trying to play LeBron and then get the solid Booker play, LeBron, Booker, and then Jokic or something like that as my spend ups. And then you have sort of the evening value that I actually feel pretty comfortable with. But I'll be well over on guys like Saric. Saric is probably the guy who, like, one of the low-owned guys who I'm going to be the most over on tonight.
Oh, really? Okay.
I also think if you're going to make the fringy play that's weird is, I'm telling you, they've done this with Gary Payton II in the past. Like, there is a chance that he ends up playing some 5 for them tonight if Phoenix goes small, in their non-Nurkic lineups, which means Peyton might end up being the steal play of the night. So he's going to end up probably 10 to 15%. I still think it's fringy, but again, that's what you're.
One sort of basketball related thing, and one sort of narrative thing, but they kind of go hand in hand. From what I remember what I was reminded by someone else actually today about the way the Lakers played Denver is that they put Rui on Jokic, all right, and it freed AD up to like be off ball and like not spend as much energy, dealing with him.
Mm-hmm.
I think that you could, and you combine that with LeBron has been pretty vocal, at least in the stuff that I've read, about how you're going to really see this is Anthony Davis be the face of this team this year, that he's going to be like the man, whether he's just trolling or whatever. I'll believe it for now, and you could play lineups with like AD and Rui together, to again 2-game slate crap. You know what I mean? Like that's like I wouldn't use that logic 100% on like 13-game slates,
right.
But for 2-game slate, maybe fade LeBron and play AD and Rui together. But hopefully they go right back to that same idea as to put Rui on him and let AD have a little bit easier time of it.
Yeah, and so just for my clarity of like how I saw that in the playoffs, like I didn't. It was more bringing Rui in offensively to try and take Jokic away from the basket. Defensively, they did have Rui on him sometimes, but AD definitely guarded him far more than Rui did. And Christian Wood wasn't in the mix. That's the one thing I just want to throw out there. I still like the Rui play, but here's the give and take. The Rui and maybe the better play being Gabe Vincent. Like, is it going to surprise any of us at the end of the night if Gabe Vincent plays the most minutes? Maybe he doesn't play as many minutes as Reeves, but I certainly think he could play more minutes than Russell. And that's what you're looking for. Take a chance on Gabe Vincent at 4,500. They brought this guy in. Russell was played off the court against these guys. Didn't literally played off the court, not even playing anymore. And I think Gabe Vincent is your kind of like interesting. Okay, well let's maybe stack that game or don't stack that game, but play Gabe Vincent at 4,500 because he could end up being as productive as Austin Reeves tonight, and you get the discount. You can play them together, and maybe skipping a little bit of the Russell. I think that's kind of interesting. A couple of people are popping in some questions in here, and so Nick's asking who else I like on Phoenix. It's a very hard question to say who I like because there's just 2 games to choose from. So I could say it like if we had a bigger slate, but to go through my Phoenix ownership, I have Chris Paul. I'm sorry, not Chris Paul. That's what happens when you end up looking at a guy whose picture is still in the Phoenix uniform. Devin Booker is my highest owned. Kevin Durant's my second highest owned. My third highest. I'm going to take shots on both Goodwin and Okogie. Okogie is going to get some ownership. I think Goodwin is not going to get ownership. So I'm going to play some Goodwin because I don't think he's going to start. And if he does start, of course, people will shift their lineups around and try and get him in, all that stuff. But this is sort of my order of my Phoenix guys. I'm lower on Nurkic than the field is, but it's partially because I just think the field kind of got a little carried away. I think I'd rather play Looney at 1,000 cheaper. And then you get into the weird plays. I have Eric Gordon like 20%, and I've got my fringy one is Grayson Allen, who I've got only a 10% of. But I'm basically playing, I'm mixing and matching 10 different Phoenix guys, but the main ones are going to be KD and Booker. Then you get into the fringy guys.
What does your ownership look like on FanDuel?
So on FanDuel, I just did the spreading it out, and it is what I did over there on purpose when I set the build is I went way over on Chris Paul because the price difference is going to keep him a little bit lower owned over there. Now he's still going to have ownership, don't get me wrong, but like that was one thing that I thought was something I could target. I have a little less Jokic on FanDuel, a little more Jamal Murray over there, mostly because I wanted sort of some different exposures and builds. My highest owned player though is even with the less of Jokic. I think Jokic is still my highest owned player. I have a ton of Saric over there at 3,700. He might be one of my favorites over on FanDuel.
My highest owned on FanDuel is actually Josh Okogie.
Yeah, it's close with those guys for me. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the Gordon brothers, even though they're not brothers.
Yeah.
Then Aaron Gordon, Eric Gordon. I guess I'm sort of, I don't want to say under, but I have only 54% of Chris Paul. I guess I'm sort of significantly under Jokic. I only have 42% Jokic on FanDuel.
Mhm.
I have just so much of them on DraftKings. I just want to see if I get any exposure to any of this other baloney. Yeah, you know what? I mean, I'm playing 150, so I have like 3 lineups with Watanabe in it. I have 3 lineups with Zeke Nnaji in it.
I've got like 10 with Nnaji.
There you go. I got 3 with Christian Wood in it.
Yeah.
I got some I got like 10% Christian Braun on FanDuel. That's something. I was hoping. I thought I was going to get more.
Yeah.
And then I got like 10% Gabe Vincent, 6% Reggie Jackson. I don't have as much Sarich as you do, so we'll battle that one out over there.
Yeah.
What about Bow Wow's on DraftKings?
Like so for me, here's the real. I mean, these are my 1%ers are like Keita Bates, Diop, Moses Moody, Peyton Watson. My 2%ers are Drew Eubanks, Christian Wood. I would like to get up to like 5% of Christian Wood. I think there's upside there. Max Christie, I have at 2%.
Ooh.
I have 9% Zeke Nnaji.
There you go.
I've got Strother 7%, Vincent 15%. Vincent is I think a pretty interesting play, and I think I actually might want to get around 20 of them. So I might do a little shifting around there with Vincent.
You have any Jay Holiday?
No, I didn't. I somehow just didn't end up there at all, and I don't really have a I mean, not that I need to play everybody, but like he's the 12th. 11th man, depending on how you look at it. Now he's a good enough player where he could get in and stay in the game because he's all he's going to do is stand in the corner and play defense. But if he hits a few threes, I think it's worth taking some shots. It feels more like a showdown-y play. I couldn't quite get him in on this slate.
Yeah. What about KCP? How much do you have of him?
I got a pretty decent amount of KCP, 17%.
Yeah, I got like 40.
Oh wow, so you went pretty high on him. But part of my numbers are skewed still because I'm leaving that 25% Brad Beal spots. You know what I mean?
That's true.
So they're all a little bit shifted. It's going to change a little bit. It's going to be slanted more on that game. I think Nnaji is a sneaky cheap play. And I want to answer Scott's question. He's got a question here, and Scott always has great questions, Scott McCarty. He said, so NBA refresher question, 2-game slate, mega high ownership for CP3. Can he be faded even slightly in contest? If so, better for small field or large field, or is it just play him? I think in the small field single entry stuff, I think you're just playing it. I think in some in the lottery in the large field stuff, I definitely would try to get some non-Paul lineups, but I also have no issue with locking him in. I feel very comfortable with him at 5,600, especially with no Draymond. So I'm probably going to be on the side of mostly just playing him, and I think you're on the same side, right?
Of Chris Paul?
Yeah.
Yeah, I am just going to be playing him. I don't have 100, but I have like with the field, which is like 80. I mean, or something like that. What about and what are you getting for Eric Gordon? Any preference? Eric Gordon, Taurean Prince?
Yeah, Eric Gordon.
Eric Gordon the most. Okay.
I like Eric Gordon a little bit better than the other guys, better than Okogie a little bit. Although it worries me I have plenty of Okogie, so it's fine anyway. But I like Eric Gordon. I like Okogie. Taurean Prince, it would absolutely. I'm gonna play some of him because he's a little cheaper, but it would not surprise me if you didn't see much out of him. And also, we don't even have an official starting lineup yet, so let's wait to see if Taurean Prince is not starting. I would treat that play a little bit carefully. Anyway, and I'm looking at some of the other questions. Clay Davis is asking what about Kevin Durant? I mentioned Kevin Durant is one of the best plays on the slate. I think that Kevin Durant and if you play Kevin Durant and Booker together, I'm just going to do. That's going to be most of my big builds are going to have at least one. Oh, they all have at least one, but mostly we'll have two of those guys, both of those guys in there. I just think the spot is too good. And then this question from Jolly is who's replacing Poole? Chris Paul. And also it's not like they need to replace Poole. They've got plenty of offense anyway. But Chris Paul, and if you want to say that creates a few extra shots for Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. I'm good with that thinking also, but on a 2-game slate, I don't think you need to be worrying about it that much. If this was a big slate and we were talking about an unowned Steph or something, that's a justification you could use for why you would play Steph. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So just so everybody knows what I did, whatever I got in, I reduced my whoever the value guy we were just talking about, KCP. I reduced my KCP. I reduced my Prince a little bit. I've upped my Eric Gordon a little bit, and kept pretty much everything else the same on DraftKings. FanDuel, I think I'm gonna keep everything because I do have a whole bunch of Okogie over there, but it's fine because I remember with FanDuel, I keep forgetting that you have to get all the positions in. So that's why these guys end up like really popular because you need to put
absolutely.
in there. But a lot of Eric Gordon, Aaron Gordon. All right, these are good. I think FanDuel, I'm not going to make any adjustments based on what we said. And I only have 30% KCP over there. I just don't need to have 40% KCP, I don't think.
I think you're right. I agree with that. But I want to touch on something that Rhodey's asking about the Christian Wood thing. I'm on board with taking shots on Wood, Hachimura, all those guys. I'm on board with taking shots, but I think you have to set your expectations somewhat realistically. Christian Wood is, in my opinion, there's a chance he may just like not be on this team at some point. He's basically made every team he's ever been on much worse, but he does put up great fantasy stat lines. You know what I mean? Everybody loves him. He's a really nice guy, but he just like looks lost on the court. He's not like a guy you'd want on your team. It just looks good when you have a guy 7 feet tall hitting threes and banging down low and all that stuff. So I think Christian Wood is a totally fine play. Although I like your Hachimura idea a little better, and I like Gabe Vincent better than you do. Is where I'm at. And we have more people who are going to be watching. I have a feeling we're going to have more stuff coming in. We've got a bunch of new people who signed up. I did put in the Discord here that, hey, look, if you sign up with for the first month, it's 25% off if you sign up with my code, and it's for all the packages. So and I would suggest everybody, when you're playing basketball, have the SaberSim package. I would not be just relying on everything else because it's just really hard to keep up with. While it's awesome to have Sheets' awesome projections, Goldie's awesome projections, those are all there too. But if you want to fail safe in the NBA and you really want to make sure you have a trusted projection source, and that's why we're happy that we're able to offer some of SaberSim's offerings at even lower price, and we're offering a little more content, which they are cool with, we're cool with, and we love being partnered with them. So I just want to throw that out there. I also wanted to say real quickly about please like and subscribe to the videos, guys. Because it's NBA and it gets so hectic at the end of the day, most of the shows I think are going to be about 30 minutes to 45 minutes. But we really appreciate doing the likes so we can do it for free. And then in the Discord channel, the premium channel, that's where a lot of the action takes place all through the night for the NBA. Tonight's only 2 games, so it's not going to be as much. But all the back and forth, you're going to make yourself a better player just by being a part of that chat. It's a really, really intelligent group. So I would encourage everybody to make sure to get in there if they haven't for any reason. And I'm going to attach the thing right now. I hate doing the marketing stuff or the stuff I'm supposed to do, but I think this stuff is important for everyone.
Well, forget the marketing for just a second. I mean, the reality is that, I mean, if you want to know exactly how we play, I mean, we're trying to tell you. Like Bobby doesn't really use the SaberSim stuff as much. He's much more of a hand build, person, and I've been literally I think I might be the first person in the whole industry to use SaberSim. Back when literally nobody had heard of it. Okay, I know these guys like a long time. So I need that stuff, and I appreciate the analytic piece of it, and I really use it. So you can win with you can win with it, you can win without it, but I just prefer. I just like what it offers. So I personally recommend. I don't even know what it costs, honestly. Bobby didn't know all that, but it depends what kind of player you are. Listen, if you want to just play, one lineup a night, or like a handful of lineups a night, and want to be casual, whatever, you could do it without a big whole contest sim construct and a whole thing, and find good plays and make them. It depends on how much into the weeds you want to get. That's all.
Yep, absolutely. But I do think for NBA more than any other sport, like you definitely want to you want to be able to have a baseline projection. If you can't get your projection before the things, it's really tough because every player that gets net tomorrow we'll get some glimpse of it, but when we'll really see it is like in 2 weeks when guys are going to be trying to play through it and warming up, but with the intention of playing, but not knowing whether it's going to be it's really, really tough. And the projections, even the projection sites, as great as they are, it's impossible to keep up to date with it.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I forgot to specify what I was talking. See, I originally was talking about like using the SaberSim for actually the tools, But
Right.
specifically for the projections, I mean, I just want everybody to be totally upfront with everybody.
Yeah.
I put the sheets together. I think I do a really good job of it. There is literally no way I'm going to be updating them like on any regular basis after lock, like for the whole season.
Right.
You know, I'm just telling you in advance. And it's also possible that there are going to be days where I update one time at noon, and then just because life gets in the way, you know, I'm not going to be able to do it. I don't know if I think Goldie's probably working on.
Yeah. He's got his up today and everything.
Oh, great. Okay. I'm just saying that you know, just nobody yell at me. It's like,
Right. Absolutely. That's what's going to have to happen. And that's why I really do think that using the Sabersim version of our package is awesome. And also, you know, you get the core plays, you get all of my early builds, my exact exposures, all that stuff. And I think that literally for the Discord chat and the premium alone, for when it gets going during NBA is probably worth it. So just want to throw
that said, I am posting one more set of sheets to the site right now. It obviously doesn't have anything about the late, you know, no late changes in the late game or anything like that. Maybe today, just because I'll probably be around paying attention to it, I might do another one. But again, just don't count on it.
Yeah. And I see a ton of people still in chat. Guys, please like the video. We appreciate it when you guys do that, because it does allow us to keep doing them for free. And we don't want to just do it for the premium members. We want everybody to be able to at least see these videos.
I want to do them just for the premium members.
Well, I know Sheets would. That's the problem. I almost like stopped myself from even saying it. But I did post my exposures in there, and I posted my my high buy-in builds as well. I also do it on the site, but with NBA, because there's so much that changes, and even today, I mean, look, we have 2 games. Bradley Beal went from probably playing to not playing. Then Devin Booker went from likely not to play to playing. So, like, it's already been happening. Just really, really weird. All right, let's see.
Why is there no projection for Michael Porter? What the hell is that? Oh, so these guys get an L. Okay.
Murray, KCP. Thanks, Brandon. Appreciate it. Always appreciate when you guys drop in the confirmed starters when we're trying to do these things. So Murray, KCP, MPJ, Gordon, Jokic. That's what we expect. Nothing weird there. And then once we get the Lakers one, we can sort of figure out what we're going to do going forward.
Dude, I'm getting so good at this aggregation business and putting together a lot of sites, because I noticed that there are a couple of guys that okay, so this is like total behind the scenes stuff nobody needs to hear about, but when I put the sheets up before, like 10 minutes ago, they look great, and then I just did an update, and I saw that there were a couple of people that were just missing projections.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was. Well, I noticed this when I try to run something from Sabersim, because you have people that are out in your lineups, and I saw it said that Michael Porter Jr., Gary Payton, all these guys have like 0 projections, so we're taking them out. And I'm like, why do these guys have 0 projections? And the reason why is because they have juniors in their names. And when someone has a junior in their name, or like a third, sometimes some sites like either they just say Gary Payton and they don't put Gary Payton the third, and then when they don't match, you get a 0 projection. So these are things that I work on, I tweak, and I figure out. But I knew instinctively once they said there was guys that didn't have projections, I knew exactly what it was, and I knew how to go back and fix it. So I'm learning every day.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I've just got a whole thing going on with my kid.
So I am working for you guys.
All right, guys, ask any other thing before we get out of here. I know what's going to happen, and I'm used to the things now, and I have no problem with people jumping over and I taking our show, and then we do our live before lock, and we end like a little bit like while crunch time is just starting. I like the crunch time show also that they're doing for free over at Roto Grinders. They do a good job, and we always talk about like our site. We want you guys to be a part of us and everything. We don't want people jumping over other things. The truth is we want you to win. We want you to have the best chances. I truly believe with our content combined with that one little half hour that they do right up to lock is really valuable, because we usually get info. I don't think it's as important today, but I think it's important on big slates, because there's a team of, as somebody who's worked at that company for years, there's a team of 25 people trying to track everything down, which we just don't have the manpower to do while we're on air here. So wanted to throw that out there.
I will say also that I gotta work on this, but within our Discord channel, there's usually, first of all, there's a amount of people that post news in there, but also we have this Twitter feed which I have to update. That's one thing I forgot to do, is update it for the most recent like good Twitter accounts to follow, so that when something pops in, it'll probably just show up in the Twitter feed part.
Yeah.
And all the other thing about the NBA is listen, it's and this is why Bobby loves it. It's really hard. It requires a lot of attention, and you can, but the good thing is you can outwork people in the NBA. You know what I mean? You really can, and that's, we talk about things you can control and things you can't. Like work ethic, you can control. So that's the one positive. Well, not the one. There are plenty of positives, but that is a very big positive, because you can't just throw lineups in at 6:15. You know what I mean? I've learned. I'm telling you, I've done it. I do it maybe 15 times a freaking season. You know what I mean? I'll just do it, and then I'll say, wait, this time it'll work out. This time I don't have to worry about it. And then next thing you know, it's like, what am I doing? But so trust me, the people that work the hardest are at a huge advantage.
Yep, I totally agree. And I'm just going to remind everybody, tomorrow you're going to get a feel for, if you haven't played much NBA before, 15 games. It's a wild one. This is a great question from Riri about Braun for Vincent. I have more Braun myself, but I'm not sure that I'm right on that. I think that I like the speculation of Vincent. I've sort of talked myself into it a little bit more throughout this show. I do have more Braun, but I definitely don't mind if you want to take the Vincent angle. What I wouldn't do is play Vincent and Russell lineups together, and I probably wouldn't play Christian, Braun, and KCP too much together. Now, in the large field, the lottery, I think you might be able to there's a path you could get away with it, but it's just less likely. I think you're going to be able to get away with it. All right, it looks like that's, things are kind of drying up a little bit, but we had more people on this show earlier than we've had for any show so far this year. So that's nice to see, and nice to have the NBA back and getting the numbers, and we'll be at triple digits soon enough for the live stuff while people are watching. We had a lot of people watch the video earlier, which we really appreciated. So, all right, guys, I think we're ready to finish.
Yeah, I'm ready to roll.
Is that cool? All right, good luck, everybody, and looking forward to a great season. All right, good luck, Sheets.